Shalom. All praises to the Most High Ahaya, Bayashim Yeshaya Rawawak, which is all praises to the Father in the name of Christ through the Holy Spirit. This issue of Hebrew tribes, we really gonna dwell deep into some things, but before I get into that, I'd like to start off first by saying that this is gonna be a long video, okay? But it's gonna be 3 sections, all right? Because it's 3 different things we're talking about, but they're all interconnected, and it's easier to have them all on one video. And I'm gonna have in the comment section and also in the description section the 3 different sections, so you can click on them and just go to whatever section you got to go to, because I didn't want to feel like splitting them up because people can't find a link and the link don't work, it ain't dropped or whatever. They already flagged my channel before I even uploaded the first video, so we're gonna keep it funky. I'm gonna give y'all the 3 links. The first one is gonna be the alien UFO link. Okay, we're gonna touch on that, the fallen angels. The second link is gonna be about the Nephilim and the Nephilim giants. Okay, and the third link is going to be about the demons. There's 3, so there's 3 different. You got the UFO, the Nephilim, and the demons. So all 3 of those are interconnected within the word, and they're interconnected in history. So we're just going to all put them all together. I got a whole bunch of doctors. I got scientists, biologists, chemists, engineers. So you might want to get a pen and some paper and write some of these things down. I'll type them down however you want to do it, but I have to connect it all, you know, and people don't want to take my word for it, which is fine. But I'm going to show you that what's in the Bible that the government don't want you to have, what they trying to remove from existence, what they going against, what Obama's speaking against, is actually telling you more truth than your government has ever told you. There's more truth in those pages than they ever told you, and I'm going to show you that. So with that being said, we're going to dwell right into it. One more thing about the sections. I'm doing this one a little bit differently. It's going to be an introduction. It's going to be the video clips. Then it's going to be a conclusion on the video clips. So each section is going to start introduction, video clips, conclusion. So 3 sections for each section. So UFO, introduction, video clips, conclusion. Nephilim, intro, video clips, conclusion. Demons, intro, video clips, conclusion. The reason why, I'm getting to it real quick, the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm actually going to be bringing y'all some real life stories that I've experienced in my real life experience also, you know what I'm saying, with the scriptures and the word and what's been shown to me. All praises to the Most High. He's put on my heart, you know what I'm saying, to let the people know, you know, the house of Israel, is really time for y'all to wake up. It's really time for y'all, and that's another announcement I got to make. For y'all waiting on this to come out on Discovery Channel, for y'all waiting on this to come out on the History Channel, and these various networks, y'all are tripping, okay? Straight up, y'all tripping, okay? You think they gonna tell you the truth? Like, you really think your school's been telling you the truth? So what makes you think that the higher ups gonna tell you the truth about these things? It's up to you to research. You know, the word says study and show thyself approved. If you coming at me with something and you haven't looked into the sources I gave you, okay, if you don't believe what I say, fine. Look at the sources. You don't have to believe me per se, but look at what I'm giving you. Because it's not just me saying this. You're going to see it's a whole bunch of scientists. And I actually had to cut this short because there's so much information. It's like, man, this thing going to be like 8 hours long. Hey, it ain't that long, but it's going to be pretty long. So check out the sections and we're going to get into it. You know what I'm saying? All right. First section, you know, this is the introduction to the aliens, the UFOs, and being of lights, okay? First off and foremost, when the Lord put this on my heart, He told me a couple of things, and yes, He does speak to me. You know, that's the whole reason I'm doing this, and I'm gonna get into it more and show you some things that He's manifested through me that I can show you physically. You know, if you wait till the end, you're gonna see it. It's actually something that He put on me to do, and I did it, and it's something I can show you here on camera, okay? And please, if you don't watch nothing else, watch that. It's going to be coming up in the last section. But He told me that He would raise me up in the 11th hour. He said when He would lift me up to do these things, it would be a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. It'd be pretty much the 11th hour. People would be ready to pretty much go crazy, go off on their own thing. The world would be in just chaos. And this is years and years ago he told me this, and I really wasn't even, I just started doing these videos. The last video, that was the first video I ever did, you know, but this change, like I said, it's been happening over 6 to 7 years. And it said after 2 days he would raise us up, which we're going to get into that too, because 2 days to the Lord is a day to the Lord is 1,000 years. Two days is 2,000 years, okay? Christ died about 2,000 years ago. Something else that's interesting to me, but he said he raised me up, and I quote, the 11th hour, okay? And he said many nations would it just be hatred, but not the fear that he is going to be with me. And at the time, like I said, I never been on no corner preaching. I opened the Bible from time to time and looked at things, and I was always a believer. I didn't understand some things, a lot of things like I do now, on any level like I do now, but I always just kept that faith, like, oh, okay, you know, I mean, I know his word is true, you know, but I just never seen it for myself, you know. I was out there, you know, but I always knew, you know, he was watching me the whole time. I mean, I say this not bragging, I should have been dead, man. I should have been dead, I should have been in jail. I shouldn't be up in here. You know what I'm saying? From the things, you know, in my past, it's only by his grace I made it this far. This is nothing to do with me. This is all about him. You know, the Most High, he's the one that brought me out to do this. You know, I even had to question him, like, are you sure you want me to do this? Like, he put on my heart, like, I was like Jones in the well, you know what I'm saying? I was kind of hesitant, because it's like, you know, I'm a real kind of private person per se. Like, I don't just go out telling people, you know, just boom off the bat, but if you ask me, yeah, I'm gonna let you know what my faith is about and this and that. But I wasn't the type of person that would just be out for like I'm doing right now, just for the whole world to see. But y'all need to see this, because you know what? I don't care if you like me or not. Look into these sources I'm about to give you, okay? And I'm just giving you some background, because he's the Most High. He's the one that put it on. I've been approached prior to broadcasting and after broadcasting. I mean, just yesterday, Friday. Oh, and all praises to my family. Shalom. We on the Sabbath. You know, we doing it. You know, amen. Y'all give praises to Ahia as I am. You know, y'all keep on pushing. Shalom to you. But I've been approached prior to broadcasting and afterwards. I mean, and this is by people asking me, am I in the Army? And am I a Mason? People have been asking me, want me to join a gang? And I'm talking about all gangs, from Blood, GD, any gang you can imagine, you know what I'm saying? And all of them approach me with respect, you know what I'm saying? They all think, and I'm gonna let you know right now, this is for the record. Y'all take this down. I am not a part of any church. I'm not a part of any camp. I'm not a part of any gang, never have been, you know what I'm saying? Yes, I was running with them at one time at different sects, you know, gangs or whatever. Just like I was a Christian at one time, you know what I'm saying? Until I found out I was a Hebrew, you know, but I'm still not a part of any of these organizations, you know what I'm saying? I meet with anybody, I don't care who you are, but I'm not a part, you're not gonna see my name under nothing. You're not gonna see G Militia under nothing, you know what I'm saying? This is all from the Most High directly to me, to you. This is not, oh, I'm so-and-so camp. I'm not going to, and another thing, I don't want no donations from you. I don't want no money from you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to look into what I'm giving you. That's all I want. Okay, we're going to dwell right into it. Okay, this Trinity thing, man, I've been seeing this a lot. This Trinity is a title given by man. Is not of the Most High. Y'all show me one verse. Just, and I ain't talking about from no new International Version Bible, or no, you know, the Bible is written in the past 3 years about, you know, Trinity, because they probably did sneak it in, like they snuck Easter in there, because Easter ain't in the Bible either. But Trinity is a man-made concept. It's man religion. There's no Trinity. Find me a verse with Trinity, and you can message that to me. Okay, from the King James 1611, and I'll look into it. This is where the Catholic get it from. This is where they stole it from. So not get it, they stole it. First St. John 5 and 7. For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these three are one, okay? Now let me explain that real quick. The Father, that's the King of the universe. That's God. That's the Almighty Creator that said, let there be light, okay? The Word is Christ. Christ fulfilled the law, okay? He did fulfill it. You know, they talked about him in the first testament, what he would do, and he did in the second testament. So for all those Hebrews and so-called Jewish that just want to stick to the first testament, you got to explain the book of Isaiah, because that talks about Christ a lot. You got to explain a lot of things, you know. And I'm going to get to that too in the last section about what he has shown me about that, okay? Because y'all got it confused. Christ fulfilled that. If y'all still waiting for Christ, then who is that? Who when these people are on drugs and strung out and they say, you know, they find a church, you know, there are some righteous churches. They find a church and they say, you know, I went there, I prayed, I got cleansed and baptized, and I no longer smoke this anymore. I no longer do this anymore. I no longer do this. And they might have been 20 years a crackhead, or 20 years snorting, or 20 years prostituting. And Christ came to life and they're like a whole different person. I haven't seen that with Buddha. Okay? I haven't seen that with Krishna. I haven't seen that with Muhammad. I haven't seen that with any of those. I've seen that with Christ. And I say that boldly because that's the truth. I haven't seen no, I mean, I've even seen one story. This is just one of 100, where a lady was smoking crack all these years, and she, you know, got into the word, prayed, and I mean, she quit cold turkey. All praises to the Father. That's a blessing in itself. Okay, okay. The word is Christ. The Holy Ghost. Okay, the Holy Spirit is a feminine spirit. Okay, when he spoke, you know, those words. He used the Holy Spirit to create Christ. He used the Holy Spirit. That was the spirit that created Christ, that, and then through that created everything else. Okay, so with the Romans talking about the Holy Spirit being a man, it's not a man. The Holy Spirit is wisdom. Okay, it's not all these other things. And again, I say this like I told y'all in the last one. I got to be very careful with that, because that is an unforgivable sin to blaspheme the Holy Spirit, to say, oh, the Holy Spirit is this and this and that. No, the Holy Spirit. And we're going to get into the seven spirits of God, okay? But it's Ruach. It's the breath that he breathed into Adam, the Ruach. You know what I'm saying? The breath. Another thing about God the Father, we're going to get back on that. He is constant, okay? Because they always want to come with all these philosophies and this and that. God said, I am. I am is constant, okay? Exodus 3:14, Ahaya, okay? Hebrew Strong, 1961, Ahaya, okay? I'm not finna argue with y'all in the name of God. It ain't Yah, it ain't Yahweh, it ain't the Tetragrammaton. All that comes from other sources. And I'm gonna bring them sources up, okay? Because it's Ahaya. When Moses said, what should I say to the children of Israel in Exodus 3:13? Who should I say to sent? He said, the God of the forefathers. Moses asked him, who is that God? He didn't say, okay, I'm just going to tell them God. He said, no, what is the name? When I behold, you know, what should I say when I come unto them? He said, I am that I am. Ahaya, Ashur, Ahaya. That's constant. He is. He always is. It's a constant state of being, okay? Elements in space. There's some scientists that actually did the research. And they found out that there's a sound wave that's been going through the earth and going through the entire universe that's been there since the beginning of time. Now, they'll never tell you this, but they've actually discovered this, that there's a sound wave. You know, if you notice, you know, if you do music or if you record, anything involving, even with light or anything, it all works on waves. Everything works, even the atom. If you okay, you want to be a scientist, look at the atom. Those electrons are constantly moving. Now, this I can tell you, I was really into science growing up, and I still do like science. You know, there was a convention, a science one that they had. I think it was in New York or London. I can't remember. But what they did was they was trying to basically break down the atom as far as they could break it. What they wanted to do was tell you the pattern of the electrons that move around the nucleus. Now, if you don't know what the neutron, they were trying to get the patterns of the way the electrons move around the neutron. The neutron is in the center. You know, it's the center of the atom, and the electrons are those things like if you look at the Astros logo, you know, in Houston. That's what that is. It's an atom, and they were trying to get the pattern. And every scientist that looked at it got a different pattern. The reason why, because it was just moving, and it was like they even said it was kind of like their mind was controlling the atom. Like as if everyone was looking at it, they write down a different pattern. So it was like it had its own pattern, but it was just constant. God is constant. You know, you can't figure him. He's above human knowledge. So trying to figure him out without knowing him, you at a loss. You know, you always gonna have that mystery. That's why it's always a Big Bang theory, evolution theory, because they have a theory, and that stuff doesn't even exist. You know, they just put one with the other, and it don't make no sense. And again, there are gonna be clips on that. Okay, in Amos 5. Let me get into the symbols. Symbols, are they good or bad, right? You see some Hebrews, because I've been getting a couple messages, good and bad, and I'm just going to address a couple of them. I don't deal with symbols at all. That's just me, okay? I'm not getting on anybody else. If you deal with a symbol, what I'm going to tell you is take it back to what it really was. Like that cross that the Romans are using, that cross is actually, like I said, the Tammuz, you know what I'm saying, the T, you know, and there was also, I want to point out in the New Testament, if you look at the Strong's Greek for cross, it actually says tree, which, you know, the cross, what was it made out of? You know, wood. So, just think of it like that, you know, that was what they said, that's how they sacrificed to their gods, you know. Christ hung on the tree, that was a curse, you know, others did as well, you know, but he broke that curse. That's the big thing about him, okay? That's the, you know, our blessings, you know, be to the Father, you know, that he gave his son, you know, for us, you know. The house of Israel got to wake up. You got to stop looking at these pictures of Caesar Borgia. You got to come out of that. You really do. You know, I touched that last one, so I'm not gonna get into it, but y'all got to come out of that. Amos 5:25 and 27. Okay, I'm gonna break down the Star of David and other things of that nature. This is why I don't deal with symbols, you know, because did the Lord give Christ a symbol? Did Christ walk around with a symbol? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. All the prophets of the Bible, did they ever have a symbol? But you believe a Star of David. How come Isaiah didn't have one? How come Jeremiah didn't have one? How come Daniel didn't have one? None of these people had a symbol, but you get to David and boom, you got a symbol. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why, and this is why. Okay, I'm gonna dig into the scripture. Amos 5:25 through 27. This is the Lord. Did you present me with sacrifices and grain offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O Israel? When he said that, he was saying when they was in the wilderness, was he worried about them sacrificing, or was he worried about them being obedient? Obedience is better than sacrifice. You know, you rather your mate or your wife, husband do right than do wrong and come and apologize to you and buy you something nice. You don't need that. You need them to be loyal, be right, be true, right? That's what he wants from us. It said you also carry along, now this is big, you also carried along Sikkuth, your king, and Kiyun, your images, the star of your guys, which you made for yourselves. Let me bring that back, okay? I feel like a DJ up in here. You also carry along Sikkuth, your king, and Kiyun, your images, the star of your gods, which you made for yourselves. Therefore, I will make you go into exile beyond Damascus, says Ahiah, the Lord of hosts. Now, beyond Damascus, so that already shows where we was at. Okay? Because look, the Middle East, like I said, that tectonic plate that broke, Israel was once part of Northeast Africa. Okay? Even in the word, our land stretches from Egypt to Saudi Arabia to the western part over there. Okay? Hebrew strong 5522 Sikkuth, because that's, I'm gonna bring up those false gods. 5522 Sikkuth, a foreign god. Okay, it's related with astrology. Now, astrology is different from astronomy. Astronomy is the stars. You know, how they form these, you know, because he gives us the sky and the seasons for times, to recognize times and seasons. You know what I'm saying? So looking up at it ain't necessarily a bad thing, but it's a bad thing when you start trying to map your life out from a star. What does a star a million miles away got to do with how we treat each other today? You know what I'm saying? If I go out there and, you know, do something to somebody that's wrong, you know, I ain't gonna tell them read your horoscope. This was gonna happen. Like, come on, man. Like, I had to come out of that, man. That's what I'm getting to that too. I had to come out of that. I had to come out of that horoscope reading. I don't mess with none of that. I don't mess with any of that stuff. Astrology is foolery, and there's plenty of people that dwell into it, that was into it for years and years and years, and basically was like, man, it's basically nothing. It's basically nothing. Your life isn't in the stars. Your life is right here, man. Okay, get right here. And the second one, Hebrew Strong 3594, Kiyun. Kiyun was a heathen god related to Saturn, okay? And that's where they get David's star. You notice he said, the star of your gods, which you made for yourselves. He didn't say he made that. You made that. You made that star. Look up Saturn, Saturn star. The Saturn star is the upside down triangle and the right side up triangle. I don't deal with those symbols. This is why. You know, now some people, and I will give you this, some people say that the star represents a shield because that's how they had the shields back in the day, how they would have a circle and they would cut 6 points. If you cut 6 points in a circle, that'd be 6 points, so you could use the shield as a weapon and also block. That's fine, but I don't need no symbol. You know, I put on the armor of God. That's my shield. You know, Ephesians, read it. Like I said, the History Channel, these networks, they never gonna tell you about the Hebrews. Okay, let me let you know something. Hebrews walked the planet since God made Adam and Eve. That same bloodline of Adam went all the way through Christ, went all the way through Noah, it went all the way down. Okay, we Hebrews were the first people to walk the planet. People of color, people that look like me, so-called black people, so-called Negroes, niggas, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I don't get offended by that stuff anymore. I used to, but it don't mean it don't mean nothing in that sense. But it means that you know who I am. When they hit me with that nigga, I hit them with, yeah, I'm a Hebrew, and they freeze up. They don't know what to do with that because they know I know something that they ain't expect me to know. Okay, research the Phoenicians. Okay, now this is what the information I came across. They said they was here the first millennium BC. But they give all the credit to the Phoenicians and not the Hebrews. See, when you read Genesis and when it said man began to multiply upon the earth and they began to do wickedly, you got to understand that a lot of those people that did that, you know what I'm saying, mixing with the fallen spirits, the fallen angels, those people were Phoenicians. Now, the Hebrews, there was, of course, a sect of righteous people that, you know, they begin to call upon the name of the Lord, you know, after in the book of Enoch, you know, in his day. Okay, Enoch is the seventh from Adam, and his book was found. He wrote the book for the last generation, which I believe is our generation. Okay, now let's get into some of these other cultures. Okay, look up Samaria. Okay, these are the people that created the so-called Trinity. When they want to say, oh yeah, the Christians got a Trinity just like they got a Trinity, so all this is just the same Trinity. No, it's not. I already covered. There's no word Trinity in the Bible. Find me a word, that word in the Bible. Okay, the Sumerians from Sumer. You know, these are the people that were an ancient culture, one of the first ancient cultures. Not before the Hebrews though. Anu was the god of the sky. Enlil was the god of the earth, and Ea was the god of the waters. That was a trinity. Okay? Look up Nimrod. Nimrod was the African, a Hamite, if you will. He was grandson of Ham. You know, he was the first ruler after the flood. Okay? He started the original religion. So everything that he started basically filtered down and created all these religions that we have today. You know, now this isn't talking about Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was before the flood, the four corners of the earth. When Nimrod came, the flood has already came. Okay, Nimrod Semiramis, and Tammuz. Now Tammuz was that virgin birth. Christ was not a virgin birth, okay? Look up Tammuz, because there was already that sect was already there. Christ was made lesser than the angels, okay? Read the book of Hebrews, okay? He kept saying seed of David. We gotta look at the word, okay? The Egyptians, okay? They had Osiris, they had Isis, and they had Horus, okay? That was their trinity. They also had the Theban triad of Amun, Mut, and Khonsu. That was another trinity. The Mephite tribe of Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefertim. Another trinity, okay? Let's get into the Greeks. Sithno, which was the god of order. Little god, too. Let me put that out there. Little G's, okay? There's one god. Ahia, Ashar, Ahia. That's the only god I know. Erau was the far roaming god, and Medusa the guardian god. They also had Hebe, which was the maiden. They had Hera, which was the mother. They had Hecate, which was the crone. Another one they had was Zeus, Athena, and Apollo. Notice in Harlem they got Night at the Apollo. Apollyon. Apollyon is basically another name for Satan. Just another three god thing that they had, you know, which was their trinity. Oh, I'm not done. Hindu, okay? Had the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Shiva. That was their trinity. All these came from Nimrod. All of them. Last one, Buddha, okay? They had the I can't even say some of these. Nirmanakaya. So Nirmanakaya. That was the so-called physical god. They had Sambhogakaya, which is Sambhogakaya. That was the god of reward, enjoyment. And Dharmakaya, which was the so-called god of truth. Trinity. I don't see, you know, how you can miss that and misdirect that into what the Lord has said, you know, but that's what Satan does. Like I said, he loves to copy the Most High. The Most High says the Sabbath is Saturday, the last day of the week. Satan says it's the first day. You know, Christ says, and like the Most High, do not worship angels. So that the prophets do not worship angels in the book of Galatians. Satan, as a fallen angel, he declares your worship. You understand? So whatever the Lord does, Satan just he does the opposite, or he tries to copy it. One thing about the Bible, and this is one thing that's always stuck with me, is his prophecy. And this is why I'm here, because what he's shown me, you know. But I've always liked that the Bible says what's going to happen. Okay, it said what happened. Some people don't believe it. That's because they don't read it. That's fine. A lot of people don't read books. You want to hide something from somebody, hide it in the book. That's the most truth I ever heard. Because people don't like to read. But it has prophecy for the end times. So not only do we know what happens, but we know what's going to happen just by reading the word. You see all the people talking about NW, and that's why I kind of laugh at some of y'all. All this Illuminati, and I don't use that word. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing but a distraction, which that will be touched in this video as well. But all this NWO, New World Order, and they're taking over. Look, bruh. The Bible been telling you that the government gonna do that. Just read Revelation. You can read one book and find that out. Read Revelations. He wrote that on Patmos. The disciple John wrote that on Patmos. You know why he was incarcerated in the prison. You understand? Seeing this vision of this beast. That's the NWO, man. You know what I'm saying? So y'all find out like it's new. It's like I'm laughing at y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what? You got to read, bro. And they ain't even bragging, but you got to read, man. It's another something interesting that you can look up. Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger in 16 American Intelligence Agency, October 2012. And I quote, this ain't me, this is him. Israel will not exist in 10 years, unquote. It's like he just grabbed the mic. It's like, imagine you at a party, you know, with your family, you know, y'all doing y'all thing or whatever, and you know, you got the food and the kids and everybody there, and you know, somebody just come up, grab the mic, hey, Israel will not exist in 10 years. Then put the music back on. That's basically what he did. Like, he just came out just to say that and then go back to his business, which that was very significant because him and 16 American intelligence agencies said that. He was the 56th Secretary of State. He's the Sergeant, U.S. Army, 970th Counter of Intel Corps. So he does counterintelligence. Okay, 970th Division, Sergeant of the U.S. Army. That's pretty high up. Okay, that's high up. Okay, he comes and says that Israel ain't gonna exist in 10 years. Why you just stop the party to say that? Everybody talking about, oh, land of Israel, look. Israel ain't the land. Israel is the people, and it ain't them Khazarians. Okay, let's get into it though. Let's get right into it because I've been waiting on this one. Okay, book of Sirach, you know, chapter 1 verse 3. Okay, heaven's height, earth's breadths, and the depths of the abyss. Who can explore these? This is from the Most High, you know, through his angel he was speaking. He said, heaven's height, so that's the height of the heavens. Earth's breadth, that's, you know, how deep, wide, and whatever, how, you know, wide and vast it is. And the depths of the abyss, so as deep as you can go in the ocean. Who can explore these? Now, you notice, if you look at the elites and the so-called higher ups, what they are doing, ain't they sending satellites up there? Ain't they constantly trying to scale these mountains? They got shows on National Geographic where they trying to just cover the whole earth. They trying to go to the ice caps, the polar caps, and see how long they can stay there. They trying to basically go against the Most High. I said, who can explore these? They can only go. That's why you can only go so far in the ocean. You only go so far out there. He puts limits on it. This is his universe. Remember, you in his house. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, he has no house, but this is his universe. This is you. You are in his, you know, even though Satan has his hand on this world, the Lord has control over everything, okay? And really he only has his hold on this world because if we allow it, if we call out to the Most High and we get to doing righteous things, like I keep saying, I'm sounding a broken record, but if we get to doing righteous things like he wanted us to, we wouldn't be dealing with none of this. Well, I could say we won't be dealing with a lot of this. This is insane, the stuff we're dealing with. It said, before all things else, wisdom was created. Let me run that back. You know, before all things else, wisdom was created. Didn't I just say the Holy Spirit is wisdom and that he used that to create Christ, and then from that he created everything else? She is wisdom. Okay? And prudent understanding from eternity. To whom has wisdom's root been revealed? Who knows her subtleties? There is but one wise and truly awe-inspiring seated upon his throne. It is Ahia. He created her, has seen her, and taken note of her. He has poured her forth upon all his works, according to every living thing, according to his bounty. He has lavished her upon his friends. Whoa, didn't I just say that? Okay. We're going to skip down to verse 13. With devoted men was she created from old, and with their children her beneficence abides. Fullness of wisdom is fear of the Lord. Let me tell you something. I fear the Lord. No problem telling anybody that. I fear the Lord. I know that he's in control of everything. And people think, you know, they say, oh, fear the Lord. You're supposed to love the Lord. How can you love him and fear him? Let me tell you what Christ said. Christ said, you know, don't fear these men on earth that can kill you. Then after they, okay, Christ said, do not fear he that can kill the body, then afterwards can do nothing else to you. Once they kill you, they can't do nothing else to you. But fear he that can kill the body, then cast your soul into hell. I say fear him, okay? Because when you fear the Lord, let me explain what that really means at its core. Because a lot of y'all got it mixed up. Y'all think because I fear the Lord, I walk around just scared, and because I fear him, I don't fear nothing. I don't fear nothing. Okay? Because whatever he got in store for me, whatever he got in plans, for me, in his eyes, in his ways, I'm gonna follow what he wants, and he wants me to be righteous, and he gonna take care of everything else. I have faith in that. So because I fear the God that the only God that controls everything on earth, everything in space, the entire universe, the sun, the stars, and everything, I fear him. I don't need to fear nothing else. Why should I fear him to walk around and fear my boss? Or why should I fear him to walk around and fear some of these dudes on the corner? I don't fear none of that. You know? So I had to put that out there, because a lot of people think, oh, they see I got the Bible, they call me Christian, which I said in the last one. We were called Christians in Antioch. We were the people of the way. They called us Christians to mark us, to say, okay, these guys follow Christ. Okay? I don't fear nothing except the Most High. Okay, fullness of wisdom is fear of the Lord. She inebriates men with her fruits. Her entire house she fills with choice foods. Her granaries with her harvest. Wisdom's garland is fear of the Lord, with blossoms of peace and perfect health. Knowledge and full understandings she showers down. She heightens the glory of those who possess her. You notice when somebody's wise, when you have like a granddad or a grandma or something like that, if you blessed enough to still have them with you, how you can call them, especially, when they in that word, you can call them and they'll give you that word that'll push you through. You be like, man, granddad, man, grandma, I just been going through this and this ain't going right. No, baby, don't worry. They always just seem to hit that wisdom. It's all about the Lord. He created it. Okay. The root of wisdom is fear of the Lord, and her branches are the length of days. That's why I say they live long time. Let's get into some precepts. Okay. Now that was I think the book of Sirach, yes, chapter 1 verse 3. Okay. Now we're gonna get into some precepts here. Okay. Proverbs 2 and 7. He layeth up wisdom for the righteous. Proverbs 2 and 10. Proverbs 2 and 10. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul. I notice when I come to people with this knowledge, a lot of them, they treat it like a burden, like a heavy stone. It says that too in the book of Proverbs, that they like, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. Like I told them, Adolf Hitler, so-called, had Jewish blood. He was financed by the Rothschild family, the same people that's in control today. No, he killed Jewish people. He killed Jews. Look into what I'm saying. I'm telling you, he was occultic. They thinking Hitler was a Christian. I'm like, really? So no wonder they think Obama's a Christian. You think whoever says, "Oh, I'm holy," and read a verse out the Bible, when he read that verse. Oh man, when Obama read that verse, "No, I am the Lord," I hate that clip, man. I hate that clip so much, because he don't believe none of that. Then he'll turn around at the LGBT rally and say, we can love each other how we want to love each other. But you believe that Bible though? Like I keep saying, you either believe that word or you don't believe that word. If you don't believe it, just put it down, because you really messing up people that's trying to get into it. You know what I'm saying? Proverbs 3 and 19. The Lord by wisdom has founded the earth. By understanding he has established the heavens. I just keep on giving you the real, straight from the word, okay? Now let me give you the 7 spirits of God. It's the reason it's 7. 7 is the perfect number. 7 is the number of days that he put into existence, Sunday through Saturday. Saturday today being the 7th, all praises to the Most High. The first spirit, the spirit of the Lord. Second, the spirit of wisdom. Third, the spirit of understanding. Fourth, the spirit of counsel. Fifth, the spirit of power. Sixth, the spirit of knowledge. And 7, which he says the most important, and I do believe it, is the spirit of fear of the Lord. Because you can have all those, and if you don't fear the Lord, you must think you in control. You must think that so like I said, what you gonna do when a tornado or something comes and flips your house over? Are you gonna feel like a god then? You gonna be out there talking about you a god then? I doubt it. Colossians 2 and 18. Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Okay? These fallen angels, these beings, they're in every culture. You know, these things that came down. Gonna have some clips and some footage of that. These cave writings. This isn't nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. As much it might be new to you, but maybe you need to read a book. I had a coworker. I worked at a plant a while ago, a few years ago, and I had a coworker. This dude. I'm not bragging. It ain't my money anyway. But this dude was banking. I used to, I was doing the packaging for the plant, and he was the guy that went out and got contracts, and this plant was big. I can tell you this plant made computers and computer chips, not the RFIDs, not that, but it was computers for, things like vehicles and I'm talking about large machinery. They was banking. I mean, they had $500,000 contracts, $1.5 million contracts. $300 million. I mean, they had bank, And this dude, he traveled the world. He had a friend that was in the Secret Service. I worked, with some of the people in the Secret Service, and one of them had visited Area 51, like back in 2011, like 4 years ago. He basically was like, his friend was kind of like, one of those jokesters. Like, he thought it was, aliens, ooh, green men. And he drove his truck up to Area 51. It had signs out there. You can only go so far. You can only go so far. Once you go this far, violators will be shot. Straight up. It ain't no, we gonna ticket you. No, they gonna kill you. So he thought it was a joke. Of course, we already got somebody that's, don't believe that hot, that, fish grease get that hot. They don't believe fat meat greasy. He went and drove past it, and yeah, he ran into some dudes with some pretty big guns, and he said that he stopped his truck. And right before he got to like that last sign, he stopped his truck. And, he seen the dudes on the hill. They was like on the top hill. And he said the dude was sitting there with his, his rifle. And he kind of peeked out. He had his binoculars, I guess. And he looked, and the dude was just smiling at him like, yeah, okay, come on up here. And he just said he didn't go no farther after that, and I bet he didn't. That was probably one smart thing to do. It was the BBC film crew that was held at gunpoint. They actually went to that trying to film and do. Now this is the BBC. They're supposed to be one of the elites, but the elites only want so much information to get out, which I'm gonna show you. They only want you to know so much, okay? But they need to teach us about things more that's been found, things in the earth, things that we can physically touch. They don't want to teach us none of that. You know what I'm saying? The Roswell Daily Record. This was back in I think the 1950s. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. This was a headline on their newspaper when the Roswell incident happened. The very next day, they issued a retraction. See, they get so happy when they get some information because they always think, that's what the elite, they messed up. They always think about that paper. They think, you know what, if we put, this is a big story. Not only is it a big story, we put this on the newspaper, we gonna make some money today. We gonna get some looks, we gonna get some more advertisers. It's all about the paper to them. So when they put that in there, of course, they got a lot of hits. Like, man, dang, oh, man. They found her. The very next day, they issued a retraction because they gave out too much information, man. They don't want nobody to know all this stuff, all right? I don't want you to know so much. Now, we're going to talk about disclosures of people that have seen UFOs, that have them on tape, that have some kind of radar system with the video that can show that they've seen these aliens. When I say aliens, I mean UFOs, which are unidentified flying objects, these things that are moving at thousands of miles an hour and stopping on a dime and then going in the other direction, which there's going to be video clips of that. And the video clips are kind of long, but they got to be long for a reason, because if I just give you 3 minutes of clips, you can be like, oh, you can say that was anything. But if I give you 45 minutes, it's going to be hard to say, man. And then I got scientists, astronauts, researchers saying the same thing. It's going to be hard to really refute that. I'm gonna tell you the governments that actually disclose this information: Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, France, Finland, Japan, Russia, Sweden, and guess who else? The UN, United Nations. They even have a plan in place for an alien invasion and who is going to be the spokesperson. Oh yeah, they got it all. Now, these people that run the whole world, why do they know about it and you don't? Are you looking into this? So we gotta break it down because most people know it's something out there, but they just think, oh, it's all fantasy. Nah, man, this is real. Job 1:7. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence cometh thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down onto it. So when he was asking this in the book of Job, that's when Satan was testing Job. And the Lord asked him, but the Lord knew where he was, okay? Because everybody wants to say, oh, the Lord don't know everything because he asked. The Lord knew, okay? It's kind of like he was waiting for to see if what he would answer. Just like when he told Adam, when Adam was in the and his eyes were open, he ate that fruit, and the Lord called out to him. The Lord knew where, right? He knew what he was. He knew where he was. He knew what he had did. He was waiting on him to admit. Just like when the Lord calls on you, he may call on you through different people. He may be using me, which I believe he is, to convict you. Like, hey, do you know about this? Do you understand this? Have you looked into this? He already knows what you're going to answer, but he's giving you the opportunity to look into it and do things the right way, come to him in repentance, and do all, the baptizing the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, receive the Spirit, and walk in Christ's name. And get that kingdom at the end of the walk. Revelations 12:4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and cast them down to earth, and the dragon stood before the woman. Now, when Satan fell in the beginning, okay, because when it said his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, see, I has some people, this is plenty of people. This is it ain't anybody specifically. I'm not attacking anybody, but they think Satan and Lucifer and the devil is basically a spirit, which it is, an evil spirit, but they think it works through kings and government, which it does. That part is true. But in the beginning, he fell in Genesis, and it mirrors that in Revelations. Okay, he fell. When he fell, he took a third of the stars with him. Okay, when he took those third of the stars, all those are fallen angels. All those are the fallen angels, as we're gonna get into that basically changed the whole earth to evil. Because when Adam ate that fruit and fell, he basically gave lead to the evil one. When you fall to something, it's like when you let somebody get you angry, you let them have power over you. That's why I say don't give nobody your power. You're supposed to remain in the armor of God. You're supposed to remain peaceful. You're supposed to remain calm through these things. You got it, but you got to be seeking them. Okay? Lucifer is a fallen angel. He was Lucifer in the heavens. He was the morning star that sung. Then when he fell, he became Satan. Satan, the devil, the Lord of the Rings. He got so many names. He's like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? The Lord has one name. That's what I'm saying. They say the Lord has all these names. No, Satan has all these names. Okay? That's why I said he's a deceiver. His biggest trick was to let the world know to tell the world he didn't exist. That was his biggest lie. And people fall for a hook, line, and sinker. They think that he ain't no fallen angel. Evil didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Okay? Somebody spoke to Eve in that garden. Okay, that fell. It didn't pop up out the ground. Okay? And that's another thing. He can go through animals too, like he went through the snake. Also, when Christ cast the demons out of the man, the demons, so-called legion, he sent them into the pigs. Okay, he works through things, works through people. He works through. Don't allow him to work through you. Don't allow any kind of evil to work through you. He does tempt. That's temptation. That's why the Lord's Prayer said, deliver me from, lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from the evil one. That's what it originally said. When it said that the evil one is Satan, deliver me from him. I don't want to, You know what I'm saying? Who wants that? People want revenges and grudges, man. You want to live like that? I'd rather live in peace, man. That's me. I done did the revenge and grudges and all that. That don't get you nothing out of life. You know what that get you? Jail time. You know what that get you? Heart failure and heart conditions and bad skin. You know what I'm saying? That the spirit, the fruits of the spirit are gonna be nothing but meekness, good, peace, humility, you know, good things. 2 Corinthians 11:14, and no marvel, for even Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. That's why people say, oh yeah, you know, knowledge is light. And in some cases, yes, knowledge is good, but there's also a evil knowledge, okay? Like this witchcraft stuff, you know what I'm saying? The Lord doesn't want you to do that. The Lord never gave a spell. That was not his doing. That is the doing of something else. Because he controls all things. He doesn't, why would he want you to sit here and manifest something? Manifest the spirit. You gonna be able to control that spirit if that spirit attacks you? Because you're gonna see in these clips that, you know, all this stuff happens every day, more than you realize. Maybe you haven't been seeing it, and maybe that's why I'm here today. All praise to the Most High to show you these things. Okay? And another thing, the beginning of time, the very, very beginning, the Lord, he I got lost my place. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's just the spirit just touching me right now. He just touching me. But I need to tell y'all this. I don't believe in planets as planets. You know what I'm saying? It's to them planets to me are still a mystery. And NASA is a lie. I'm gonna tell you that first off and foremost, NASA is a lie. I'm from Houston. That's where I'm from. Like I said, when I was growing up, I was into science. I loved learning different things about science. The first thing I realized is that NASA is a lie. I went down there. I went to go see what they had, and it's like I said, they only had so much information. I'm like, y'all got billions and trillions of dollars in this. Y'all got satellites out there. Y'all got the world's strongest telescopes. Y'all got the world's strongest this, strongest that. And y'all can't, this is all y'all can tell me? I can look this up online. Tell me something I don't know. Educate me. See, a wise man seeks knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I may have an idea about something and they might tell me something like, no, that's not right. And I can go look there, oh yeah, okay. But they're not telling me nothing I don't know. And it's like I used to go to them exhibits and I used to get mad like, man, this is all y'all got? Really? I don't believe them. NASA's a lie. Then they come out with this Planet X and this Nubaru. When we was learning the so-called planets in school, how come we never talked about planet? I noticed that too. You know what I'm saying? The Lord been working with me a long time. I noticed they never talked about any other planets other than the so-called 9 planets that they found. They never talked about asteroids. They never talked about other anomalies in space. I know it's more anomalies out there. You know what I'm saying? Like shooting stars. Where do these stars come from? What are they, you know, the past stuff? I mean, they kind of touched them a little bit, but I really wanted, they said that, you know, some of them are made of ice, but they're burning. That's crazy to me. You know, I know there's no oxygen in space, and you know, it's so much that, like I said, it's so much that they ain't telling y'all, and they ain't telling us, anybody, me. You know, my knowledge comes from the Most High though, so I'm not tripping. They don't have to tell me nothing. But these so-called planets, the reason why I have my doubts about them is because of this. And before you get on me, because I know people are gonna be commenting, before you get on me, I got a couple of questions that I like to ask y'all. Actually, about 3 questions I like to ask y'all. One, the astronauts going all the way to the moon and all the way back, how much fuel does that take? Because we don't have any special technology where we can use some kind of like, you know, energy source or whatever, like a, you know, like they have stuff on TV, the P-36 modulator, you know, the Marvin the Martian. We don't have that where we can, you know, have this little core we can put in the ship and it can get us there and back. We don't have that. We use fuel. We kind of on some old stuff. How much fuel does it take to get to the moon and then fuel to get back? That's a lot of fuel, man. Okay. Another thing, the flag, okay? The flag was, Okay, that was another thing. How is there a flag waving on the moon? You know what I'm saying? I thought it wasn't no air in the moon. I thought it was no wind. When he planted that flag, the eagle is landing, and he planted the flag, it's waving. Like I thought, why is it waving? Third thing, now this is the thing that really just kind of I was like, man, they are liars, period. Okay, NASA said, and this is at a conference when the astronauts came down, and it's funny, I'm laughing because, man, they will lie to your face, man. Like, they's like a lying spouse, man. They just basically, they'll sit there and look you in your eye and lie to you, straight face. Just cause they tell you a lie straight face don't mean you should take it, all right? They sat there at the conference, and every question Congress asked, or the panel asked these astronauts, they did just like this. We're not sure about that. I'm like, bro, like, you was there. What you talking to this man for? What y'all gotta agree? I'm just laughing, man, because I know that they lying to y'all, man. I know that the Lord is in control, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, the third thing, the question that they asked them, this is the big one. They was like, when you were on the moon and you looked out, I'm gonna have to edit this, bro. Real spill. They lying to your face. And y'all, I be having atheists arguing with me, man. Like, look at the people that you trust in, these scientists, man. Some of them give them a little truth. Some of them can only get so much truth because they even hit a brick wall. But they asked them. They was like, when you was on the moon and you looked out, okay, what did you see? You know what the astronauts told them? Nothing. It was like you ain't see no stars, you didn't see no other planet, you didn't get a better view. And the reason, like, okay, I'm gonna get serious for a second. The reason why, they was asking, because they know people, and this is another reason I don't trust NASA. There's people that got their own telescopes that they built from home. There's people that got homemade telescopes and different things they built from home. And they see things and they'll report it to the news or to the local news agencies or YouTube channels now or whatever. And they'll be getting all these views and this and that, and they'll be like, and then NASA will come behind them and say, oh yeah, we've seen that too. How come this person that works at Kmart, and comes home and builds their own thing, does it on their own time, could see this, and y'all do this with trillions of dollars of funds from the government year after year, and you can't tell us what's out there? There's so much lies, man. But anyway, the astronauts said they seen nothing. They said the guys asked them, you didn't see any stars? They're like, no, we didn't see anything. So I'm like, okay, you gotta think about this for a second. That's why I say use the mind God gave you, okay? You can go in the country and look up and see stars. Now I know I'm from the city, so I understand not seeing nothing because we got pollution. You can't see stars. But when I went to my auntie house that stayed at the time in God, Texas, which is like population 50, you can look up and see the whole, the whole thing, the whole shebang. And I was like, man, so you on the moon? I know you seen some things out there. I know you did. There's no way you can go way out there, look up into the skies and see nothing. I mean, nothing. So, man, like I said, lies upon lies, man. And this is the last part I'm gonna touch on this intro is like I said, the planets. And this is another thing. Why is it we can go back to 1200 BC, 600 BC, 250 BC, it's time before Christ, and these ancient cultures worship gods called Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter? Why is it that they had the same names as these planets before a telescope was invented? See, people can't answer that. It's because they was working with the fallen one, man. You know what I'm saying? It was a story of, I mean, it's just something, I can't even get into it. It's so much that comes with this. But Mercury, Thoth, Hermes, an alchemy god. Okay, that's where Mercury comes from. If you notice, Mercury inside of a what's it called? A thermometer. You know what I'm saying? It's poisonous. but it doesn't have a shape, doesn't really take any form. But if it gets into you, man, it's over. So that's an alchemy god. Venus, the goddess of love, sex, beauty, and fertility. Go watch a Venus commercial, and I'm not talking about Venus. I'm talking about the Venus razor. I'm sure you females, y'all know that commercial. I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire. I can't sing, but you know, I'm your Venus, your fire, your desire. That's the goddess of sex. Look at the commercials. Notice in the commercials they got little orbs and stuff floating around, and it's all kind of sensual. Come on, man. They're not getting this. They're not making this up from nothing. And this is not just now. Like I said, before telescopes. Somebody explain that to me. I still haven't got an explanation. Before telescopes. Mars, they say, is a war god. Some say the Egyptian horse god was Mars. That's what it represents. Now think about Mars, the term Mars. When you look at Mars, martial arts. Ain't that fighting? Martial law. Isn't that when they come in and taking over by force, by war? There's different levels of war. You know, martial art is a level of war. Martial law, martial arts, you know, it's about fighting. Okay, Jupiter, Marduk, Zeus, thunder. So thunder is a Babylonian god. This is way back in the Babylonian days. Jupiter. Okay, Saturn, Saturnalia. Now they've been practicing Saturnalia, which you Christians call Christmas. Stop saying keep Christ in Christmas. That is the most, man, another aneurysm. Stop, Christ it ain't no Christ in Christmas. Okay, the Catholics celebrate Mass. They also call a funeral a Mass. Okay, Mass is death. They celebrating his death. Now I ain't talking about being crucified with them like the apostles were saying. I'm talking about death. Okay? When they say Christ Mass and they celebrate Mass every day, they basically blaspheming Christ every Sunday. They celebrating it. Okay? I don't do Mass. I don't do Christ Mass. None of that. Those trees, read the book of Jeremiah. You know what I'm saying? The Lord was against them. Saturn is also another name for Satan. Okay? And I talk about the Christmas trees and the trees. Saturnalia was the agriculture god. Evergreen. Look it up. Look what the Roman Catholic Church is doing. Saturn is also using a lot of symbolism. The Toyota symbol is a make off of Saturn. The Nike symbol, because I used to hoop. I used to love Nikes. The Nike, the swoop, is actually the ring of Saturn. Look at a lot of these stars. When I mean, it's Saturn worship, okay, which is Satan worship. Uranus is Aeon, a sky god, okay. Once again, just, you know, another little g god. Neptune, Osiris, Nuptu, Apam, Nepat, a sea god. And I want to focus on Neptune for a minute. If y'all remember the MH370 that went missing, that symbol on the end with the three, you know, the prong, the little fork. That's the same fork that Satan uses. You know what I'm saying? That it's called a trident symbol. Okay, trident, like trident gum. Look it up. Trident symbol. It's the god of the sea. Now notice that plane went down in the sea. Been a year later, they still looking for it. Man, they know where that plane is, man. They know where that plane is. Which, you know, they'll never tell you or me. But that's the god of the sea. Even on SpongeBob, my children, they don't watch TV no more. But when they was watching SpongeBob, they got a Neptune god on there. He comes out and makes whirlwinds in the sea. Again, before time of Christ, they was worshiping this stuff. Pluto was Serapis, also known as Saturn's son. In the Bible, he's known as the son of perdition, or Plutus in Greek or Roman or whatever. And what's crazy about this is the ninth planet. Now you know that 9 in biblical terms, you know, is the last number. You know, 9 is the number of completion. There's only 9 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once you get 10, 10 is just 9 plus 1. So it just repeats itself. 9 is the number of completion. The son of Satan, the son of perdition, is to be shown before the end of times. You know what I'm saying? Which he was just the person that's going to sit on the seat of the beast, which the beast is government. You understand? But he was the god of death and the wealth god. So not only death, but also wealth. And you look at all these stars and how all these stars are, they say they take an oath or whatever. Which you can only go so far in the game before you got to join. You got to join that clique, which they call the Illuminati. Like I said, I don't call it that. I call them elitists, so-called elitists, because they're not elite to me. But that's what they are. And it's the death and the wealth god, because these people get rich fast, but look how they die. I can go through plenty of stars, and they have, humble, some of them had humble startings and humble beginnings. And they shot up to stardom, but they all died tragically. Michael Jackson, look at James Brown. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the list just continues. Look at Jimi Hendrix. Death and wealth, man. So that's the intro. We're gonna get into these fallen ones, and we're gonna show you that they are fallen, and just like in the times of Noah. So Christ's return is imminent. And that's back to that prophecy thing, as in the times of Noah. It ain't just one thing. Why I'm saying, it's a bunch of things, and we're gonna get into it after this video. So I'm gonna let y'all watch these clips. Shalom.
And a former astronaut says aliens exist. Edgar Mitchell, who was part of the Apollo 14 mission, told a radio interviewer that sources at NASA describe the extraterrestrials as, quote, little people who look strange to us. He says they supposedly have a small frame, large eyes, and large head.
I happen to be privileged enough to have be in on the fact that we have been visited on this planet. And the UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by our governments for quite a long time.
Mitchell says our technology is not nearly as sophisticated as the extraterrestrials, and warned that had they been hostile, we would have been gone by now. NASA praised Mitchell as a great American, but said it doesn't track UFOs and is not involved in a cover-up about alien life.
Wolf? All right, we'll watch this story together with you. Thank you.
This former Apollo 14 astronaut, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, was on a radio show over in England, and he says that for 6 decades the government's been covering up the fact that aliens do exist. Guess who's joining us on the phone? Dr. Mitchell, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Dr. Mitchell, you've walked on the moon, you've done so much, you've had a fantastic career. How long have you known that we've had contact with aliens?
Well, the rumor, see, I grew up in Roswell, where the so-called Roswell incident took place. So the local lore I've known for 60 years. Mm-hmm. But, however, as a result of my astronaut experience, some of the old-timers, I call them the old-timers, I've never had a first-hand experience. I mean, I've never seen the UFO. But some of the old-timers of that period who were hushed up thought I would be credible, and they wanted to pass on their story before they passed on. So I was contacted, and I was told their stories many years ago.
Okay, Edgar, who are the people who told you there were aliens, and how would they know?
Well, because some of the people, I'm not going to give names, because some of the people were just locals involved in the so-called Roswell crash when that happened. And also, my folks were ranchers in that area, and we knew all the ranch people.
So people who saw something.
Beg your pardon?
People who saw something.
Some of the people who saw something and were in military or intelligence activities at that point. Intelligence activities at that point, and were under very severe secrecy oaths at that point throughout their life.
Because, Dr. Mitchell, that was my whole point when we discussed this earlier today, was what kind of secrecy document would you have to sign if you were given this type of privileged information?
those days there wasn't a document.
Yeah.
They were threatened. I mean, there was real threat. You're not going to talk about this.
From the government threatening?
Yeah, right.
Now, let me ask you, you said that these creatures are small, with big heads and big eyes?
We don't know that. I don't know that personally. I haven't seen them.
But is that what they told you? Is that what your sources told you?
That's what the lore is. I mean, the normal...
But who told you about the lure?
Like about what, please?
Like, for example, when you talk to these people who wanted their stories to live on because they won't.
It was just to confirm that the Roswell incident did take place, and it wasn't, the government knew it was an alien spacecraft.
Now, it was about 10 years ago, you had a press conference where you laid all these facts bare. You talked about this in public.
I actually went to the Pentagon and was talked to intelligence officer at the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know about this, but I'm going to find out.
All right.
And he eventually called me back and said, you're right, but he couldn't get in and get access to it.
What's that guy's name?
No, I'm not going to tell you that.
Well, I mean, because look, Edgar, a lot of people are listening to this and they're thinking, well,
I don't care what they think. You want my story? I'm telling you.
No, we understand, but some people think that it's
so let me ask you this, Dr. Mitchell. Do you think that other people now will come to the forefront since this is being discussed again, since you're bringing this?
I think it's about to, because there's been a lot of very serious and good investigators working this problem for 50 years or more.
I mean, you realize this is the story of the century, if it's true.
Well, the fact that we have not alone in the universe, that's a very important story.
I mean, that's better than a little bit of water on Mars.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, it beats water on Mars, and the fact that these little creatures are nice and smarter than us is it bigger news. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, we thank you very much for joining us on the phone to try to straighten things out, and we thank you for getting up early this morning down there in Florida.
One more thing. It got mixed up that this had to do with NASA. It doesn't have anything to do with NASA.
Okay,
just
thanks
other
for the
sources.
clarification.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, straight ahead, Kinky
One of the most extraordinary interviews of our time. Former astronaut Gordon Cooper breaks his silence.
There were a number of extraterrestrial vehicles out there cruising around.
You'll be astonished as this real-life American hero discusses his close encounters with alien craft.
Small saucer flew overhead and put down some landing gear and landed out on the dry lake bed, only about 50 yards out.
And we'll analyze startling new UFO footage.
These craft, because of the bright light emitting off them, including the color coming off the bottom, are often referred to as motherships.
And is there a government cover-up? NASA has already officially admitted life on other planets exists.
The simplest explanation to us is that they are the remains of Martian life.
But if an extraterrestrial intelligence is already visiting Earth, how long have they been here? What does the military really know about aliens?
There's just no question but that information on this topic has been kept from the public.
This shot was taken in London, outside of London, in '95, near a freeway bridge. You can see the craft very clearly hovering alongside the bridge. As it approaches an open parking lot, see the lights of the parking lot. In this next sequence, you see the craft come to a landing in the parking lot. You can see the two lights of the parking lot. There's the craft. Now, what's very striking is after this craft lands, you can see it coming down here, and it has released a probe that seems to be making its way toward the road. You can see the cars moving in the distance. You can see a very slow movement. Now you can see the original craft that came into the picture is now rising above the road and seems to be leaving the scene, leaving the probe behind.
As the probe slowly moved away, it passed over the freeway below. This dramatic footage has become known as the London Landing. Never before in history has a probe been caught on tape being released from a flying saucer. This is truly an extraordinary sighting. In Henderson, Nevada, we see another probe-shaped UFO that was videotaped at dusk. In 1990, we see yet another probe that was videotaped in Las Vegas just after dark. This probe hovered in a residential district for nearly an hour as the cameraman captured this dramatic footage. In what may be one of the lengthiest close encounters ever recorded, a probe hovered over a neighborhood for 3 consecutive days. The local residents described this probe as completely silent, not making a sound as it hovered in the sky. Eyewitness accounts described the probe as having a searchlight that would turn on and off throughout the 3-day sighting. It took 2 days of repeated calls from the local residents to the sheriff's office before a deputy was sent to investigate.
That appears as a light in the sky. This is very common, actually. But this particular craft, you can actually see the color discharge on the bottom, which is very unusual. You can see the craft approaching this hill, and it passes behind the hill and then rises again a few moments later behind some trees in the distance. It's also very striking to see the craft moving in and out of the tree line. I would say that this footage here is quite rare due to the fact that it's so clear. Again, you can see a lot of detail on the top of the craft, some sort of dome on the top, and again, the bright illumination is unmistakable.
However, you need to understand that the technologies that we have, and we were discussing, are not theoretical. We have actionable intelligence that any committee in Congress or executive action can find regarding current operations. And I just want to go through a list of them very quickly, of these facilities and corporations for which we have witnesses who can be subpoenaed by the committees of the Congress. This was developed at the request of Congressman Christopher Cox of Orange County, and with whom I met, and was later further developed for the briefing that we put together for President Obama. These facilities are the Edwards Air Force Base and subsections where on at the dry lake bed where the Lockheed Skunk Works operations, Haystack Butte, China Lakes, George Air Force Base, and the closed Norton Air Force Base, where an anti-gravity device, so-called alien reproduction vehicle, for which we have the schematics, was seen by Frank Carlucci and others on our witness team. Tabletop Mountain and Blackjack Control. The aerospace facilities there are the Northrop Anthill Facility, Tejon Ranch, the McDonnell Douglas Llano Plant, Lockheed Martin Hellendale Plant, and the Phillips Lab. At the Nellis Air Force Facility, so-called Area 51, no one calls it that. There's S4 and S12, Pahoot Mesa, Groom Lake, and a number of sub-facilities. The most important facility is in Utah, near Provo, the Dugway Proving Grounds, all of which is underground, and the airspace above it is classified. There are no roads into this facility. The New Mexico facilities include Los Alamos National Labs with underground connectors to the so-called Dulce area where the biological work is being done, and Kirtland Air Force Base. And the complex there includes Sandia National Laboratories, Phillips Labs, Manzano Mountain Weapons Storage Facility, Coyote Canyon, and the White Sands Complex. In Arizona, near Fort Huachuca, which is Army Intelligence Headquarters, there is a UGB underground base where one of our witnesses, who will testify, worked on 9 separate extraterrestrial vehicles that had been down through advanced electromagnetic pulse weapons, and there are several different species of extraterrestrial biologicals stored at that facility. The other facilities, and this goes on, include a special compartmented area of Cheyenne Mountain, where we have witnesses in our team who can be subpoenaed, where we have tracked extraterrestrial vehicles in our solar system that were measuring 26 miles in diameter. There are also facilities in Australia, a key one being Pine Gap, the so-called Alice Springs facility, which is mostly a U.S. Air Force facility, even though it is in Australia. I recently talked to the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia about this. Also, the Redstone Arsenal and the Marshall Space Flight Center. We have a scientist at the Redstone Arsenal who works under contract for IT&T, who have developed these transdimensional systems. He was under contract with my project to bring these energy devices out, and he was then threatened by a former CIA director and what I call the goon squad that went down there 3 years ago in March.
Although as Minister of National Defense,
I had sighting reports of UFOs. I was too busy to be concerned about them at the time because I was trying to unify the Army, Navy, and Air Force into a single Canadian Defence Force. And that itself was a kind of battle to the finish. So this was not high on my agenda. But about 10 years ago, I started getting interested due to a young man from Ottawa sending me material on the subject. I told him I was too busy to read it, but he had confidence that someday I would. It took me a while to get around to reading it, but I took it for my summer reading in 2005 and was really impressed with what was contained in it. And what I thought to myself is there are huge issues here, huge issues. And the American people and the people of the world have a right to know what's going on because they're part of it. It's not just an isolated thing. I accept the invitation of Victor Vigiani, who's over here somewhere, and his cohort, Mike Bird, to speak to a symposium at the University of Toronto. And I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. That gave me the dubious distinction of being the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 group of countries to say so unequivocally. In the 1960s sometime, it was a flotilla of UFOs headed south that crossed into NATO territory in Europe. And the commander-in-chief of the Supreme Allied headquarters in Europe was naturally very shaken. Fortunately, or maybe divine providence, before the panic button was pushed, the flotilla turned around and headed back north. Obviously, they had thought maybe they were Russian and they were very concerned about it. Anyway, the investigation was launched into this whole subject, and a document was prepared which concluded that at least 4 species had been visiting Earth for thousands of years. This is my own view at this stage as well. So, except for that, there are just a couple of things that we've talked about that I'd like to refer to. And one was that we were referring to them as they until this morning when Linda Moulton Howe, I think she was the first one, actually named 3 different species. I don't think we can any more refer to them as they because they're not an amorphous mass. They are different species and consequently may have different agendas. I don't think we can say that they all have the same agenda any more than we could say that the United States, China, and Russia had the same agenda. Our real interests may be very similar, but as of now, our perceived interests are still quite far apart. One more observation before I begin what I want to say, and that is that we spent quite a bit of time talking about the 66-year-old cadavers, and I was glad to have Linda this morning finally say that there are live E.T.s on Earth at this present time, and at least 2 of them probably working with the United States government. The other species that I learned about not too long ago was called the tall whites. And this is when Paula Harris broke the story just a few years ago. And through her good offices, I had the chance to talked for about 3 hours with former Airman Charles Hall and listened to this absolutely fascinating story of how he was working with, first of all, he was scared out of his skin, but after that, when he got to know them, how he was working with, and finally they became to trust each other and have a good working relationship with the tall whites at the gunnery range at Indian Springs in Nevada. And these tall whites were living on United States Air Force property. And my only caveat is I think probably I would say 95 to 98% full disclosure. I know of one or two things that I'm not sure should be in the public domain, at least yet. They will be someday, I'm sure, but not maybe immediately. Adult, I think that tax-paying citizens are quite capable of accepting the new and broader reality that we live in a cosmos teeming with life of various sorts. The fact that some other civilizations are more advanced than we are may be humbling. And it exists, and it's being kept secret by the same vested interests who control our destiny. Who are these vested interests, and what are they up to? Well, Senator, we're talking about a military junta. We're talking about a military junta. Senator, we're talking about a military junta. Of the three sisters, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, and the Trilateral Commission, the International Banking Cartel, the Oil Cartel, members of various intelligence organizations, and select members of the military junta, who together have become a shadow government, of not only the United States, but of much of the Western world. The aim of the game is a world government comprising members of the cabal who are elected by no one and accountable to no one. And according to Mr. Rockefeller, the plan is well advanced.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosin. In 1974, After being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat, would be the extraterrestrial threat, would be the extraterrestrial threat."
Intergalactically, to say that they travel as people or pilots in a ship. And some people think that they're from another solar system, and some people think that they created us, and so some people think that they're here to bring about an ancient knowledge that mankind lost or something like that. Some people think that Christ is one of these individuals in a human thing or a human disguise. There are a lot of different beliefs in regards to them. And one thing that has been proven true is that these beings have been deceivers since they first got here. And every time they told a ruler or a person that they came from a planet or they came from a society and that they were created under a different God than we would know, it has often been shown to be a lie. They seem to also change the story of their origin, and history has shown that over and over again. And what I mean by that is to say many times when people thought that they were on another planet, it turned out that under hypnotic trance, through hallucinations called either holographic images, they were meant to think they were on another planet. Some of them have literally woken up in the midst of having this technology operated on, and they realized that they were actually in a laboratory room. And unfortunately, when they realized they were in a laboratory room, they realized that there were human beings in that room, and there were actual, real Nephilim beings in that room. They realized that they were not on a planet, but they realized that they were somewhere on Earth, and they were in a secret place where they were being experimented on. Some of them are actually using ships, real technological ships, to kidnap people. That does not qualify them as coming from another planet, as the way they would define it. So let's understand a little bit more evidence on that. Let's go back to the intergalactic thing, okay? If they're from an intergalactic world, let's say they're from 9 solar systems away from us, and they were from a technological world that is 9 solar systems away from us, that world would be far more present than non-existent as we're in that state now, meaning the traffic would be so heavy that you would see it, and you would clearly see it all the time. Interesting thing about space is that the solar system that we live in is actually called clean space, meaning there aren't really a whole lot of debris and gases and things in our solar system. It's very clean. But the solar systems that are around us are filled with very dangerous gases, and they're filled with strange anomalies, weird type of rocks. And basically what I'm saying is, for the kind of technology to travel warp speed at such a speed and power that it would probably kill them before they even got here. The gases would definitely ignite with nuclear energy sources. This is why deep interstellar travel is not possible, because the more and more further you go out into space, the more and more dangerous it becomes to travel. So if there was intergalactic activity going on, where people are actually blasting themselves from that solar system over to here, the traffic and the accidents and the explosions from these accidents would be so magnificent that they would be seen from Earth. And so we don't see anything like that. Not anything like that at all. You see, you probably heard that they tell the human race and the rulers that you need to make peace and you need to end your weaponry and stop killing each other and stop doing these harmful things to each other and we'll help you. But yet, what you don't told is that these aliens also want our help too. How is that? How is it if they got things together, why do they need our help? If they're so superior, why do they need us to disarm? If they can help us, why don't they just do it? Why do they need something from us? Have you ever wondered why? A good hustler knows that when you hustle something, you need to get back in return. You're doing it because you want to make that person happy so that you can make yourself happy when you get back the return. A hustler will sell you something, but he wants the money. Do you understand? Did you know when dealing with these beings in negotiation, where your tax dollars are being used to talk to them and you're not even told anything about it, did you know these beings hustle?
Has been covering up incidents of contact for years now. Dr. Edgar Mitchell says aliens have visited our planet, and he believes the government covered up the discovery of an alien spacecraft in 1947, as well as 4 alien bodies that were found in the desert.
The reason for the denial was, number one, they didn't know if these were hostile and could we protect ourselves from them. Didn't want the Soviets to know, so they devised to lie about it and cover it up.
Well, Dr. Mitchell is a veteran of the Apollo 14 mission, and he walked on the moon back in February of 1971.
Tonight, Norwegian authorities are investigating strange lights seen in the Arctic sky. The spiralling white light was seen for several minutes on Wednesday morning.
The secretary of our radio and TV station saw this phenomenon this morning, these lights in the sky, and she was really pleased when all the calls started to flood the switchboard, and then all the pictures came, and we got mobile phones and videos sent to the station. So this is the talk of the day here in this part of Norway. Well, the information we got was that the most plausible things that would have happened is that this was a Russian rocket fired from a testing site near the White Sea, that something went wrong with the rocket. It either exploded, controlled from the control center, or something just burned and it was a misfiring of this rocket. One of the big Norwegian internet pages has published that the Russian Northern Fleet says no. They say niet, they haven't fired any missiles. So that's what the information is just now. The Norwegian expert says that this is plausible Russian rocket, but there's no confirmation as far as we know that this...
stargazers have a big mystery on their hands, a giant spiral of light that suddenly appeared over northern Norway. The winding image could be seen for hundreds of miles, fueling speculation that it was anything from alien invaders to a new phenomenon. Alex Marquardt reports from Moscow.
Norwegians were treated to a spectacular light show early Wednesday morning that immediately set tongues wagging, everyone asking what created that giant blue pinwheel in the sky. Speculation has settled firmly on a failed Russian rocket test. Russia's defense ministry has refused to comment, but military sources are telling leading Russian newspapers that there was a test of a Russian Bulava intercontinental ballistic missile that failed yesterday. It had previously been announced that there would be tests of the Bulava in the region between December 7th and 14th, and specifically from 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning, according to one Russian newspaper. But for now, that's simply the leading theory behind the mysterious blue lights. Alex Marquardt, ABC News.
When it comes to the fallen angels, they don't have as much power as they normally would in terms of their transforming abilities, but they do have them at a very good length. So they're not totally depowered. And so a lot of them like to transform into ships. A lot of them like to transform into certain objects. A lot of them like to transform into basically UFOs, basically planes, basically other looking creatures. And sometimes it gets sporadic. You know, sometimes they kind of, you know, from a lot of the transforming and using the powers that they use in our dimension, and it kind of weighs heavy on them. You know, they can't always maintain it. They can't always maintain the form or the shapes that they take, and sometimes they go a little crazy in the atmosphere. And then sometimes that's caught on camera, where they're just like morphing into like a UFO and then a dragon and then other types of forms of spiritual reptilian-looking, you know, helixes, if you will, you know, combinations of different forms. For instance, you'll see some transforming from a UFO into a dragon-looking creature and then back again, and then it disappears and then comes back again. And when it's doing that, what's happening at that moment is that it's freaking out because it can't maintain its form in our dimension, and they don't want to go back to the other dimension they just came from. So they try to struggle with it. And sometimes when they come into our dimension, they're pretty set in their form or their shape, and they're able to maintain it for probably long periods of time before they end up dissipating, and then another group comes in. And so there is a weakness to them, but we don't have the weapons to really combat them, to tell you the truth. I mean, fighting them is like throwing sticks at them. It's not going to work. You know, you can throw a nuclear warhead at them, and that's not going to work. You can shoot bullets at them, and that's not going to work. When it comes to the full spiritual beings, the full fallen spiritual beings, I'm not talking about their Nephilim children, who are another story, because they can morph too, but not as well as the fallen angels. The fallen angels, to understand them.
Yo!
Yo! Rod, blin!
Mazda, ima.
Mazda, ראית? Yo! Rod, blin!
Mazda, ima.
תראה, זה זז, זה זז.
אבל זה יורד למטה.
זה יורד למטה, תראה, הוא התחיל לרדת. וואו.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
I think tonight would be lovely, but that UFO, amazing. Holy Oh, is that cool? You can almost hardly hardly look at it.
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like
in the skies over Jerusalem. And why did it stop over one of the most treasured sites in Christianity?
We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like
Well, if you surf around online today, and it probably will not be long before you come across footage of a UFO in the skies over Jerusalem. Now it is sparking intense debate on the internet. Trace Gallagher following this live from our West Coast News. So the question is, what was that UFO? What was it doing over Jerusalem? And, is he back? And, is he back? Is he back?
Yeah, and that is the question, by the way, Megan, because, critics, it's difficult for them to dismiss this because there are so many different angles. We've got 4 different videos, all from various perspectives, showing...
The president of the country is given a special top-secret folder. This folder in its entirety contains information about aliens who visited our planet. Along with this, you are given a report of the absolutely secret special service that exercises control over aliens on the...
Well, let's leave that there, because I believe we can now go to Paul Harrison, our royal correspondent, who, of course, is outside the King Edward VII Hospital, where the Duchess of Cambridge was.
In September of 1989, something happened in the city of Voronezh, 200 miles south of Moscow, which caught the attention of the world press. For several weeks, strange lights were seen over the city. Then on September the 27th, it was reported that a spacecraft landed in one of the city's public parks, from which 3 alien giant figures emerged. Nothing remotely like this had happened in Voronezh before. Before coming to America in 1990, Ukrainian journalist Paul Stonehill covered the Voronezh story for the international press.
Top Voronezh researchers of anomalous phenomena, who include scientists, geologists, and also some military people, went to the site immediately thereafter. They were on the site on the 3rd of October studying and collecting specimens.
The encounter became a media sensation on national television and in the international press.
Не было, ну уже хотя бы потому, что не было до сих пор в Воронеже событий подобных тем, а...
Drawings of the landings by children who were there capture the event vividly.
It attracted the attention of the media around the world because it was effectively endorsed by E.T.s, the Soviet news agency, who up until that time had certainly not given any credence at all to this kind of story.
They had the chance to talk to many eyewitnesses, adults as well as kids, policemen, school teachers, students, scientists who had witnessed similar or even differently shaped UFOs. The underlying theme was that giant-like beings exited from strange-looking craft, did some research throughout Voronezh, and were able to get back to their craft and fly away.
For once we had a genuine large number of people all correlating with one another, describing the appearance of these giants. So it was not a case of you simply believe a witness or you don't. Here you couldn't fail to believe them because there were so many of them talking in concert.
I was standing not far from the main road of the South Park, and I saw this flying object at an approximate height 250 meters.
It stayed at the same height and did not move horizontally. I was very interested by all that, because it could not be any kind of meteorological balloon.
There was a squeaking sound. Perhaps some drilling tool was operating, like it was boring a hole in the ground.
The creatures started coming out. They did not look too much like humans. They were much taller than humans. They did have shoulders, but I didn't see the head.
He was huge, really huge, bigger than we are. He was a mighty figure.
In 1989, Sergei Makarov was one of the school children who was in the Voronezh Park.
I remember a crowd that gathered around the place. Everybody was scared. Everybody turned pale. I was absolutely flabbergasted.
Denis Bozhenko was also one of the boys in the park on that day in September 1989.
I saw some traces there, and also a strange man. Outwardly, he looked like any other man, only he was huge. A moment later, he suddenly disappeared.
I had no doubt that the UFO and the giants existed, because I saw them. But sometimes when I look back, it seems sort of like a fairy tale.
What we're seeing today is very much what we have seen all throughout history. It's nothing new. Anything going on with the UFO phenomenon today is something that has always been around, and you can find it in ancient mythology all over the world.
We have the legends, and of course, in some cases, we have cave paintings of giant-looking beings and even footsteps. I would think something was in the past, and this something was much bigger than our normal earthlings.
Welcome back and shalom, family. I hope you enjoyed the clips. Hope you took down some of those names and got some of that information to look up on your own later on. Again, this is going to be the conclusion of section 1. Okay, so if you want to go to the next section, you can click down, go to the next section, or whatever you have the time for. You've seen the government disclosure of alien life, especially the one with the Mexican Air Force. You know, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They just counting them, and all of them just going in and out, in and out, in and out. They can only see them with them cameras that the motion detectors pick them up. So if this is the Army, you know, seeing these things, no other Army, and they released that worldwide to say, hey, what is this? If it was another country, it could have been like, hey, you know, we had some stuff up there. Don't nobody know what it is. Like I said, they're not the only ones. Even the UN has disclosed that there is some kind of form of life, these fallen beings, that they don't know what it is. They know what it is, though. They telling you they don't know what it is. If you're listening to this and you believe this, then you know what it is. You know, Book of Enoch will tell you what it is. Part 1, they want to, you notice they want to wait till they're old to reveal it to you. Look how old those guys are. And it's a reason for that too. They wanted to keep their life, because if they would have came out with that back in the 50s, now how we can speak out now, and even though we're still getting persecuted for speaking against the government, but if you was to speak up on JFK's thing when it happened, to say, oh, it was an inside job, man, they would take you out. And they're still trying to take it down, but back then it was like, nah, you couldn't do none of that. He talked about the goon squads and all that. They would have came up missing. I've been in the loony bin. Look up Todd Smith. It's a whole list of people that spoke out and came up missing. They put them in the crazy house. Is it a goon squad in government? Look how many times they talked about these goon squads. These are the people that the government got to murder Inc. Somebody told me this years and years ago. This before, like I said, I found all this truth, and I kind of believed them, but I kind of thought they was on some conspiracy theory stuff. But if it's a conspiracy theory that can be proven by fact, it's not a theory. The Big Bang is a theory, a foolish theory. The U.S. Minister of Defense of Canada, you notice he was talking about he was trying to get the Air Force and this and these agencies together. He was working on the new World Order. They ain't stupid. That's what he was trying to do. He was just trying to get the government forces together, because look, they can't take us over without that force of martial law, without that force of government coming in. And I want to tell you Americans something, because I'm an American too as far as my citizenship here in this country, but I'm trying to be a citizen of the Most High's kingdom. That's the ultimate kingdom. You know, this is temporary. I'm just passing through, brother. You know, Hebrew is passed through. Yeah. He's old too, you know what I'm saying? That cat knew what was going on. It's like, I think it's on their conscience now, and it's like they like, man, I did this, I did that, I know that happened, and they're coming out. Another one that's doing that is Jesse Ventura. When he was governor, yeah, he might have said some real stuff, but you know what? Jesse, he's a disinformation agent, man. Him, Alex Jones, all of them, man. Anytime they give you your own show, like I said, they gonna give you some truth. See, Satan ain't gonna just straight up lie to you. That's just a fool. Satan gonna give you some truth. Just think about it. If you ever, you know, been out there, you know, in the dating game and meeting somebody, then this person's lying, or you know, even in your life, or you might have this person in your life and they lied to you. They always gave you some truth, because that's what brought you to them. Then they hit you with the lies. And they just feel guilty now, so now they just going crazy, spouting off at the mouth. You got Alex Jones yelling at empty buildings, man. He need to calm down, man. You know what I'm saying? He need to really relax. But he always got these commercials in his videos, man. He's just a disinformation agent. He's controlled. There's no way they gonna let that man just sit up there and say this and that. Look how he talks about Israel. He's so double-tongued, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, man, this stuff is thousands of years old. You know, they keep talking about, and this is no shot against my conscious brothers. This is no shot against my African brethren. This is no shot against any of y'all. You know I love everybody, especially y'all, because my people, when we were fleeing, we fled and stayed in Africa, all the way from Ghana through Botswana. And the African brothers, which I'm bringing through in the next video, God willing, they know about these tribes. It ain't no argument with them. See, when I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, okay, so you on, okay. It ain't no argument. It's more of, okay, what information do you have, what information do I have? And it's not all of them, but with most of them that are on some kind of knowledge, man. It's not something to argue about, because if you read through the history, research is there. The Bible just points it out. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Stop throwing away the Bible. If the government wants you to throw it away, you need to look at it, man. Because the government, the ones that's putting fluoride in your water, killing us in the streets, you know, they don't want you to have this knowledge. That's the reason why they're against it. Of all things to be against, have you ever known of a book to be outlawed? The Bible's outlawed in North Korea. It's outlawed in many areas in China. Look at what's going on over there. They're not getting raptured. This is Revelations, man. That rapture that y'all talking about, That's right when Christ comes. We talking about we talking about Jacob's trouble. We talking about the tribulation. Okay, we talking about when Christ said in Revelation that they will send you to prison and behead you on my behalf because of my faith. That's what we talking about. Okay, because some of y'all is real lost, you know what I'm saying? But I'm praying for y'all and I'm here with y'all, man. But y'all got to come on with me and with this word, with the Lord. You know, ain't about with me, but come with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? You know, they talking about tall whites, grays, and E.T.s. Check everything they release. You know, I had some of y'all send me some videos, and this is a Discovery Channel, a History Channel, Ancient Aliens, all this. Look, man, check everything they give you. Check everything, okay? And this is another shout out to, you know, my people out there who believe the world is hundreds and hundreds of millions of years old. How much gas did you put in your car this last time that you filled up? Did you put a full tank, a half tank? When you drive, you burn that gas out, right? Right, okay. If in the wintertime when it's cold, you got a fireplace, you put firewood in there and you put a match and you light it up and it burns up, right? And it doesn't burn forever, right? It burns until the wood is gone, right? Explain one thing to me. With the size of the sun is a gas ball, okay? It's just a big ball of gas that's just burning, right? How can it burn like that for millions of years and stay relatively the same size? Wouldn't it have to be bigger at one point? And if it were bigger, because you know, as it's burning, you're taking away, right? Like I said, your gas, you're taking away. You're not just driving on a full tank all year. If you do, you need to let me know where you got your gas from. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, because I'm filling up every week. You know what I'm saying? But back to this word, though. When, you know, people like, you know, they get mad. Hebrews talking about the word 12,000 of them boys is this and that. I think the word is 12,000 years old. The Lord says in the Apocrypha it has 12 parts. You know, I think that's 12,000 years. All right, and the reason is because you see those dinosaurs now. If they didn't disclose those dinosaurs to you, and I'm on this video, imagine there's no dinosaurs in museums, none of that, right? There's none of that, right? And I'm on this video saying, yeah, they had giant lizards living back then. Y'all would dumb me down and delete and you know get off my channel, right? Y'all would just be like, oh man, this bro tripping. But because they found so many, they had the disclosure. They found so many of them, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into the Nephilim, which they are covering up, but it's still kind of leaking out, but they still trying to cover it up. But those dinosaurs, how is it that something can survive millions and millions of years and can still stand up to where you can go in a museum and see it? But when you go to the pyramids in Egypt, now there's tombs that they found in Egypt, and I found this years and years ago. Again, the Lord been working with me for a while. I didn't know I would be using this knowledge now, but they found some tombs and they were trying to read on them. They basically were saying it was some stuff that was written on them in hieroglyphics. Now they might have been lying, might not, but they had video and you can see the tombs. They was going down. There was another room and they went to the right. It's like a bat cave, and when they got into it, they were trying to read it, and it was so old. They said it was up to 3,000 years old or 4,000 years old. And when they was trying to read it and get into it, it was falling apart. Like the tombs were just falling, like it was just falling apart. And it was just like, man, what's going on with this? So just think, if something's 4,000 years falling apart, how is it that them bones could survive millions of years and could stand up in a facility? It ain't that old. That's why. Again, the guy from Canada, he talked about a cabal. Now, I'm going to let you know, I spend nights reading about this stuff. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderberg Group. These people pick the president. These are the ones of the Electoral College that they tell you about. Don't talk to me about no Hillary, no Governor Christie. I don't care about them, because they already know who's going to be next. And to be honest with you, I think Obama is going to come back for a third term. Square business. Look up NDAA and look up Patriot Act and look up martial law. Okay, you see what they pushing us to do. They killing. Last time I checked, 2 black men a week in America, and it's so heavy. It's even spreading on the other races. Now, of course, it's on us. It's on us first. The children of Israel. It's on us first. We see that. That's why the whole world waiting for us to rise up. Why you think, man? Because we Judah, man. They waiting for us to Kwame Yasharala get it. They waiting for us. They looking, because once we rise up, man, that's what I'm saying. But we got to rise correctly, and it's a way to rise, and it's not going out there shooting and fighting them like that. Because let me tell y'all something real quick. We've been in America almost 400 years. We've been fighting since the days of since we first came here. Slaves got planted R's on their faces for running away. Slaves got their ears cut off and other organs cut off for running away, okay? Legs and all, feet and worse for running away. The Dust Bowl, the market crash of 1929, 1914 when they created these banks. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the 60s. Up until now, we've been fighting, and we still ain't got no equality over here. What equality do we have over here? Look, let me tell you something. My dad was born in the heart of the 60s. You know what he told me one day when I was disclosing some of this stuff to him? You know what he told me? It's worse now. I had to ask him to run that back. I'm like, really? It's worse now? Because I seen the videos of the dogs. He said it's worse now. So it's like I said, first things first, we got to be righteous. Righteous toward one another. We can't be out there, oh, shoot that dude, and dude step in your club, on your shoes in the club, and that's another dead body, this and that. We got to kill all that. We got to kill all this chasing this BET lifestyle. We got to kill chasing this MTV lifestyle. We got to kill all that. We got to kill all this worrying about Jordans, worrying about following these Negroes at the top, Jesse Jacksons, TD Jakes. We got to kill all that. Real spill. That's the only way. Because once we kill all that, we can come down to a level where we can get on some information and some knowledge, and from there we can decide our next move. And our next move ain't to be out there necessarily fighting. Now, if you gotta protect yourself, I'm not saying don't protect yourself, but to what they're trying to do is fuel a revolution. You know what I'm saying? At its core, they're trying to fuel it. Because they, like I said, it's spreading to other races. I heard about a white woman getting shot for answering the door for the cop. Shot in front of her husband and 2 kids, man. These people are savages, man. Read the Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. These people are savages. They do not care. They do not care, man. Like they care the least about you. The Lord cares the most about you, but like, how can you hate him and hate them? You also hating your lifeboat, man. The Lord is your lifeboat. Where was I at? Okay, like I said, the government of Mexico released their footage. Notice that woman said the false threat. There's gonna be a false threat of an alien thing, because you gotta understand, they had the internet when they took that so-called moon trip. They had the internet back in 1969. We didn't get the internet till I think 1990. Something like that. It was somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s the internet came out, okay? Like I said, the Lord put me right in place with it, because I got to see all these things develop. I remember when you said, give me them 7 digits. You remember them days? You give me them 7 digits? It wasn't no area codes. Remember we had to pick up a phone and dial somebody? How many numbers do you remember now? If you were to go to jail, who could you call? Maybe one person, if you're lucky. I don't got no numbers memorized. And that's probably a wake-up call to me. I need to get some numbers memorized, but you know, they probably gonna shut everything down. You know, Obama got a button he can press and shut the internet down. So y'all need to get this information while it's available. The Lord says, seek me early, okay? Not me, seek him early, and this information is gonna lead you to him. I guarantee if you're doing it right, it's gonna lead you to him. But that's the false threat. Look up the Information Awareness Office. Look up their logo. Very interesting. And look up the Digital Angel. Digital Angel is basically them satellites. That's that E.T. threat. You know, they keep talking about these E.T.s, man. Them just demons, man. At the end of the day, like I said, NASA covering all that up. The Anunnaki did not create us. That's that ancient alien lie. Okay, that's what the Sumerians wrote. You know why they wrote that? Because they were mating with the fallen angels. But then they so stupid, they was already here before the fallen angels came and mated with them. And even if they want to believe that, who created them? There's one force. There's one constant force in this universe, and that is the Most Higher. I am constant. Like I said to Adam, man, it's constant. Okay, he is the greatest force in this world. Without him, there's nothing. Okay, so get into that. The Anunnaki didn't create us, all right? Let's get into some scripture. John 7 and John 7:42, that Christ cometh of the seed of David. Because nothing that says that Christ was an alien. Christ was not no alien, man. They would do anything to throw our Savior under the bus. Anything. They say he's an alien. He was just a revolutionary. He was just against the Jewish sect. People tell me I have a religion because I read a book called the Bible and I believe it. I ask them, when you read your history books or when you read your math books, do I call you do you believe that? Even though, okay, like the math, I see you can do the math and this and that, but how do you know where it came from? Were you there when they created that? But you believe it because you can see it, right? Well, I believe it because I read that book and I see Christ and he came into my life. Maybe you didn't believe it, so you didn't even try to see Christ. Okay, as far as the history books and the Big Bang, were you there when the Big Bang happened? Because I got on this atheist site and I'm through with them the debating sites. I was just so busy trying to get this message out. I hopped into a few debating sites and I typed in some things and I was getting some clicks. Them atheists, man, they got a different kind of spirit on them. It was hot. It was hot because they getting on me and I'm like, brother, if you believe in the Big Bang, you still believe in it. Were you there? Oh, but scientists have this, and that. But were you there? But I can show you this link. Were you there? No. Was I there? No. So we both have a faith. But you know what? I know my faith is real because I'm here because of he who strengthens me. I should have been gone, like I said. You know what I'm saying? The things he showed me, which I'm going to show you through the end of this video, at the last section, that's why it's really, really hard for somebody to shake my faith. I'm standing on a rock. I'm not standing on no sand. Romans 1:3, concerning the Son of Yeshua Christ our Lord, which was made the seed of David. Again, the seed of David. Seed is sperma. Okay, sperma. Hebrew Strong 4690. Sperma, seed, offering, descendant. It said in Hebrews chapter 2:9, but we see Yeshua, who was made a little lower than the angels. Angels don't die. The angels that fell, the Lord has them in bondage until that judgment day. Angels don't die. The Lord must take care of that. Okay? When he said, let's make man in our image, he was talking to the heavenly bodies. You know, he was dealing with, the heavenly bodies. That's why when Satan fell, the reason Satan fell, because the Lord was like, I want you to look over Adam, and basically Adam is going to be the person that directs you. Satan was like, nah, man. You made me first. That's the whole reason why he fell. To iniquity was found in thee. He didn't want it. That's why people say guardian angel. There is some truth to that. You know, if you read 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 17. And Elijah prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around about Elijah. Those angels was watching him. Okay? So that's the job Satan didn't want to do. He didn't want to take care of us. Just like you notice, these men don't want to take care of, not all of them, but some of these men and these women. There's some that I know, even in my neighborhood right now, men and women. I see their kids running rampant, and parents nowhere in sight. Young children at that. And God bless them. I look after them as much as I can, so is my wife, but this is what I'm talking about. That's Satan, man. Satan didn't want to take care of his responsibilities that the Lord had gave to him. That's why that iniquity was found. He was like, oh, I'm too great. He was made the most, beautiful angel. He was the one to sing the morning stars. His body was made of pipes and this and that. He was a musician. He sung. So that's why you see these artists, which I'm going to get into at the end, that's going to be, you see, they pay homage to Satan. Now they don't pay homage to the Lord. They pay homage to Satan. When the Lord created, Satan that created music. So the Lord created music. Not Satan, but you see what happens when you fall. When you fall, all that good, you try to use it for evil. Okay, and talking about children, the NASB, that's word sperma, when it said Christ was of the seed of David. NASB, children, conceive, family, something sown. Okay, so even in the so-called new version, it says what it is. He was made less than the angels because he had to die to defeat death. What angel do you know in the word that died? No angel has died. Okay? Let's get it on. Another thing I was talking about the children. A child comes up missing every 40 seconds. Okay, the source is the facts about missing children in the Amber Alert 2013. It was a book. Approximately 2,300, it's 2,300 reported missing daily. This is men, women, and children. Approximately 2,300 missing daily. Just Google online missing persons. You're gonna have a flood missing people. Okay, you gotta understand, where are these people going? Why are they missing? It's a conspiracy in itself. It's a conspiracy in itself, man. If you look how many people come up missing, I mean, the numbers I looked at, it kind of made me kind of stagger. Like, made me grateful that I'm able to call my family and they there. That I'm grateful that I'm here, you know, because people come up missing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand that it's a whole other video we gotta do behind that. The source for that one, Carol Moore, 2011. The Last Place You Look. True stories of missing persons and the people who search for them. There's people that still searching for their loved ones, and they are heartbroken, man. My heart goes out to them. You know what I'm saying? For real. That's why we gotta get our houses in order. I cannot reiterate that enough. We're not gonna come together and rise up unless we righteous. Alien technology, Transformers, okay? Now that clip where the thing was transforming, it made my skin crawl. It creeped me out even thinking about it, man. It's nasty, man. But that movie Transformers, I heard a rumor that the movie Transformers, the government helped them make that they used government technology to make that. Now remember I told you they had the internet back in 1969. The government, by average, is about 35 to 40 years ahead of us technology-wise. Like that, I know you've seen the article about Michael Jackson and Tupac. They made their holograms appear on stage and the crowd went wild, they went crazy. That was a test run, okay? And people, instead of saying, oh, yeah, that's a hologram, they thought it was the real person. They gonna fake the return of Christ. They gonna fake a lot of things, I think, including this alien thing, man. I think it's all connected, real talk. If you don't believe me, that the government helped them and used some of their technology in that Transformers movie after you seen that clip, go to www.defense.gov, okay? Or you can Google and research military. This is the title of the article. Before they take it down, military unites with Hollywood on Transformers. Now, they're supposed to be protecting us. You got heads, you know what I'm saying, heads popping up on the Arizona-Texas border in Laredo, but they worried about some Transformers movie. But Obamacare's here to save you. Come on, man. Wake up, man. Wake up. Revelations 12:7-9. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Okay? Transformers, that's just a fake Revelations, man. Jude 1:6. The angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains and darkness until the judgment of that great day. Okay? So the angels that kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains and darkness until the judgment of that great day. Okay, there's another story that they have about them drilling holes. Look up DUMBs, D-U-M-B. I'm not calling nobody dumb. No, I'm saying look up DUMBs, D-U-M-B, deep underground military bases. They have these vast, oh man, I mean, I'm not giving them any credit like that, but I'm just saying it's amazing what they don't teach us. It's amazing. They got big warehouses, they got farms, they got trucks and semi-trucks and cars, and oh man, it's huge. It's huge. Deep underground military base that they have. And the drills are probably about as big as your whole street. And I'm not even, you can Google it and it'll come up. These things are real. They're just not telling you. But they're out there for you to see. And you need to look them up, because another thing that's been revealed to me, and this is just yesterday, and this kind of shook me up to make me even get on, okay, I need to really do this. They starting to shut information that I'm giving you, and channels that's giving you this information, they starting to shut them down. They starting to pick them out, and they starting to shut them down because they don't want that truth to get out. Yeah, the deep underground military bases, they had those for years and years and years. They building them underneath buildings, army base they have. The Denver airport said they have one too. And what they doing is they just basically preparing for the nuclear war. That's when in the Bible when it says, oh, the rocks fall on us and hide us from him that sits on the throne. They're going to be scared out of their wits. You know what I'm saying? When that judgment day comes. But as they were digging down, what I want to get to the point was, some of these holes that they were digging, they had the army officials with them and other intelligence agencies. And they were finding caves already down there with these beings down there. And some of them were just finding just the caves. And they said the caves were so smooth and it was technology much like, you know, these world wonders where they don't know how it was built, what made it. But some of them, like I said, some of them did see some beings down there. But of course, those people came up missing. Anybody that talked about it, they did. The ones I found that spoke on it, they're gone. This is deep stuff, man. 2 Peter 2:4. For if God Ahia spared not the angels that sinned. Now the angels that sinned were the ones that came down and made it with the women. Okay, the ones that basically fell and made it with the women. If God spared not those angels, okay, but cast them down into hell and delivered them unto the chains of darkness to be reserved until the day of judgment. If he did that, then tell me, how is it that he would send his only son, his only begotten son, Christ Yeshua, through an angel to have sex with Mary? That is a Catholic lie. Straight up. In 70 AD, when they burned down Jerusalem and took all our files and did A, B, and C, they sat here and injected their own, from those Greek gods, they injected those into the word. They sat here and they injected that into the word. Okay, that's what they did. They injected that into the word. So how is it that God gonna hold those angels in Enoch that did that in the everlasting darkness, but he'll do it? No. Like I said, that virgin child is Tammuz. Christ is of the bloodline of Joseph, all the way up to David, all the way up to Noah, all the way up to Adam. Same bloodline. And he was, of course, black. They try to hide that too. So that's why so much confusion. Okay. And another thing about Christ, okay, because I always give, you know, I follow Christ, you know, all praise to the Most High. Christ is the answer. He's the way, the truth, the light. No man make it to the Father but by him. The reason that being, okay, if God, let's say God gave us 4 different ways to find him, right? He said he can say you can find him through this religion, or this religion, right? Wouldn't that explain all the wars? Wouldn't that explain all the turmoil? Because you know what? The people that follow the first one, let's say religion number 1, they say our way is the best way. Look at us. We're doing great. Our way is the best way. The people that follow religion number 2 would say, hey, our religion is the best way. Our God says that we need to do that. And the religion that follow number 3 and 4 would be like, no, our God is the best. So that would explain, when you following the truth, it is no division, man. So I follow the truth, man. Christ is the truth. I'm not worried about any Buddha or any of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. Because if they was the truth, what prophecy did they give? What prophecy did Muhammad give? What prophecy did Vishnu give? What prophecy did Horus give or Ra give? What prophecy is written that's not in the Bible that you can show me that has came to pass and that came from a so-called prophet? I have not seen one. And when I ask for one, I get a blank stare. Jude 1:13, raging waves of the sea foaming out of their own shame. Notice in California how in different areas of the world also the seas are foaming with those foams, and you know, the animals are dying, things of that nature. They don't know what's going on. It said, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Jude 1:13, raging waves of the sea foaming out of their own shame. Wandering stars. Notice they like wandering, right? Wandering stars. To whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Now, why would he keep saying that, but he gonna send an angel to do that? No, he didn't. He sent an angel to deliver her a message saying she shall conceive. Not by him, but by her husband. You gotta understand Hebrew custom of marriage. The ceremony was that they would consummate. The blood would fall onto the sheet. They bring that out and fold it up. That'd be as a token. okay, to show that she was a virgin, that she held herself until marriage, you know, but they had it before that, and that's the message he was delivering to her when she did conceive. When Miriam went to go visit her sister John, which is Christ's cousin, it said that her baby was filled with the Holy Spirit when Mary came in, you know. So did that mean that the angel also made it with her? You got to understand, the angel was just relaying the message, okay? Just like in the days of Lot, when he told him to get up out of the Sodom and Gomorrah. That said the Bible ain't true, but in Sodom and Gomorrah, when they digging up a little bit, what are they finding? Sulfur. And nobody's lived in there. Nobody's lived there since the biblical times. So how is all these things lining up with the word, but the word is false? You see, they trying to tell you not to read the words. They don't want you to know nothing, man. But you got to read it in original Greek and original Hebrew. I'm sounding like a broken record. I'm going to keep telling y'all that. That's why it's not making sense to y'all. Our language is different. Let me explain something to you, too. For y'all saying, oh, Greeks learned their stuff from the Egyptians. I understand that. All those so-called white races, those Japat, they learned it from people of color. That's history, period. Okay, that's for one. But for two, I want to let y'all know, if I'm speaking English, right, and I write a book, which I am working on, which, you know, in time will come. But when I'm sitting here and I'm speaking to you in English and I write a book, the book's gonna be in English. Now, am I English? You understand? When they were speaking Greek back then, it was for commerce, so that they can communicate with the masses. If I get up here speaking Hebrew, only a few people gonna understand me. If I get up here speaking, you know, this land, if I was of the Issachar, which is the Mexican tribe, so-called Aztecs, you know what I'm saying? I'll be speaking Spanish, because that's when the Spaniards came and conquered them. Spanish was their language. Okay, so we got to get off of that. We got to see history for what it is, man. And history is just, it's real. You know what I'm saying? You may not agree with it, but hey, you don't agree with the truth. What side is you on? That's my question to you. The Norway spiral. That's right before Obama gave his acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize. And you know, there's turmoil going on in Africa. That's another thing. Y'all need to look into that. I love, like I said, I got love for my Hamites and especially my Hebrew tribes in Africa, my Hebrew and my Israel Jews, Ethiopian Jews in Africa. I got a lot of love for them because those are my brothers. Like I said, Hamites are our cousins. They going through it, man. They going through it. They ain't over there all just, hey, I mean, don't get me wrong, they strong people. They having, you know, of course, you know, some kind of good in between, but man, they going through it, man. I've been reading some stories lately, and it's like, I ain't saying they going through what we going through, but man, it's tough. It's really worldwide what's going on. But when he gave that speech, and it's funny because I bring up Africa because Obama's dad's from Kenya, and he ain't did nothing for Africa, man. He ain't talked about the Hoko Baram. He ain't those 200 students Christian killed in Nigeria. That was a quick 5-minute story. You heard more about the football player that's going to jail, Hernandez. Though I was a fan, you know. I hate that it happened, but hey, man, you got all that money and stuff. That's why I say people be rich and they ain't got their mind right. They think money and fame is gonna solve your problems. It's gonna add to them. You know what I'm saying? And not to quote anything like that, like put them on a pedestal, but Biggie said more money, more problems. There's a lot of truth in that. It is more problems. Believe that. But a portal, when it opened up like a portal was called those days a gate of gods. Okay, Greek strong number 897. Okay, portal was called a gate of gods. Little G, Greek strong number 897. Okay, the Dome of the Rock footage on Fox. Remember I said they gonna fake the return of Christ. You see what she said? Like, come on. Christ ain't gonna play with us. He not gonna come back and go back and come back and go back. No, he gonna come back, and it's gonna be bad for him. Read the Apocrypha. It's gonna be bad for him. That's the false Messiah what they're promoting. Look at the paramount picture when it starts and the stars are around that mountain. That's actually a symbol. You know what I'm saying? Mount Hermon. That's where so-called when Satan fell, that's where he came through. Portal, man. Like I said, UFO and news cover up. They just covering up religion, covering up. Your past ain't talking about it. I guarantee it's plenty pastors ain't talking about this. If they are, they probably got all type of flack. I'm pretty sure. The flags let you know Allah, the so-called Allah, was a moon god in Persia before Muhammad. Look it up. It was a moon god. So that's why, if you notice, he had the crescent with that star. It matched the Turkey flag, and it also matched the flag of China with those stars around, that big star in the middle. And you see that thing floating across the sky? Like I said, that stuff's been around for thousands of years. That's just us seeing it right now. Maybe some of y'all for the first time. Ancients seen that. Now, they tried to write it down. Of course, papers got torn and, you know, burned up. You know, when countries got taken over, that's what they did. That was the thing back then. When we take your country over, we're going to burn down your churches, your schools, like they did in Africa. When they came to get the slaves, they burned down the churches, they burned down the schools, and they took anything that was sacred to your culture and destroyed it. But you can see the cave writings and all the stuff, you know, some of that stuff is still coming out. So you can't sit here and deny and say, oh, well, that's not written. Look at the cave writings, okay? But Allah was a moon god in Persia, okay? They had 365 gods in Persia, little g, one for each day of the year. That's why you wonder, why so many holidays? Yeah, they had a lot of gods. Everything was a god to them. People say, oh, they didn't worship this. Yes, they did. They worship trees. They worship the earth. They worship moon. They worship stars. They worship the sun worship. They worship bricks. They worship stone. They do today. Look at the Kaaba stone. Look at the Catholics carrying the cross everywhere. They bow down to it in the church. They bow down to saints. They worship paintings. They worship statues. Even today, what's that statue in Rio de Janeiro with the Christ doing it? That's an idol, man. God gonna take all that down. He didn't ask us to do that. Okay, from the ancient to the current. That last one, the one in Russia, that was seen by children, by police, scientists, military, and those that were called out, school teachers, students, and other city workers. That was like 40 people that they said on one article I read that had the same story about the aircraft coming down. The same story. 40 people that had no idea about each other. You gotta wake up. This stuff, like the dude said, UFOs is just real as airplanes in the sky. They're just of a different dimension. They're not extraterrestrial. See, terrestrial means land. They're not of a different land. They're not from planet X. They're not from planet Nibiru. That, again, that's a deception. NASA tell you, any of these people tell you anything, research it. Even me, when I'm giving you these sources, go research me. Don't even believe me completely. Go research it. Okay, like I said, that moon landing was a hoax. You know what I'm saying? Another thing about the moon and our atmosphere, they say past our atmosphere, past the ozone, past that, there's radioactive waves out there. Just like we have magnetic waves on Earth and this and these different axes, there's radioactive waves in space that they say our crafts and our couldn't travel through. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things, you see how fast they moving. Scientists will tell you, anybody, our organs would explode. Even you driving the car going 80 and you slam the brakes, you hurt yourself, right? So imagine if you going 300 miles per hour and you stop and make a right-hand turn. Man, you will smack against the side of that plane, that aircraft, and you gone. So, it's a lot to go with that, man. It's a lot of mysteries, you know what I'm saying? But those are just the fallen ones, man. And they demons, man. That's all that is. So with that, we're gonna get into what the demons did in those ancient days, you know what I'm saying? The reason why things are done in society and this and that. We're gonna get into that, you know, so you're gonna be able to see it for yourself about these Nephilim giants, and they are real. They're not Neanderthals. So we're gonna jump into that in the next section. Shalom, my brothers and sisters.